what a fight. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn has just went down in probably one of the greatest fights we've seen in the last year. Another huge fight for British boxing, settling the rivalry once and for all. They may fight again, who knows, but for now, Chris Eubank Jr. gets the unanimous decision win, so we need to talk about Eubank versus Benn.
But before we get into that, we're Punch Talk and are bringing you guys daily combat sports videos, so if you enjoy the content, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support the channel. And wow, what a fight that was. We just saw the incredible heart from both Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn throughout that entire fight. Both guys really put it all out there, fought their absolute hardest to get to the end of the fight, and we just saw early on Conor Benn being extremely explosive, clearly the much faster guy out of the two, especially when fresh. And early on we saw Benn being able to catch Chris Eubank Jr. with some strikes using his speed, his explosiveness, and early on Chris Eubank Jr. was biting on a lot of the feints of Conor Benn, but it was still fairly competitive, with both guys still kind of feeling out and starting to get accustomed to each other's rhythm and downloading some data as well. But for sure Benn was starting off fast, just absolutely trying to rip off Eubank Jr.'s head, and you could definitely tell he was throwing every punch with such crazy intent. He was looking to do anything to get him out of there as quickly as possible, but Eubank was staying composed, staying ready. A few of his shots early on looked labored, but he was still calm and not rushing anything and making sure that Benn wasn't able to catch him too much.
Yeah, an incredible build-up, an incredible rivalry, and honestly, a fight that kind of exceeded expectations. Even better than the build-up, even better than the trash talk, even better than all the anticipation. The fight lived up to the hype. Conor Benn so quick in there. Eubank Jr. a little bit more calculated, a little bit not throwing everything, especially early on, just to straight kill, but was still throwing with mean intentions. This rivalry carried into the ring. It was very heated, so much emotion. You saw from Conor Benn early how emotional he was at the end of every round early on. He was talking at Chris, he was piping up, and both guys throughout this whole fight were pretty much talking to each other. There was a lot of clinching, and even though it was a very clinch heavy fight, especially from Eubank's approach, the deeper it went, it wasn't just boring clinching, snooze fest. It was a very active clinch, both guys working as hard as they could, putting everything they could into every punch. Conor Benn early on was having success with those straight punches. Obviously the smaller ring, he was able to cut it off a little bit, but Eubank stood his ground, but did get caught a couple times early from Conor Benn, wobbled at one point, but both guys showed a tremendous chin. Neither guy went down, neither guy looked too out of it at any point, even though there were some wobbles here and there. The whole canvas, the entire event was slippery, so that definitely played a part in it as well, for how much those guys were slipping and tripping over their feet. But regardless, an action-packed fight, an action-packed night, and an incredible event.
Yeah, you could just see off the bat in the ring walk how much this meant for both fighters. You saw Chris Eubank Sr. coming up and actually showing the support for his son in an iconic moment where they show Chris Eubank Jr. walking out. You see the car pull out and his father coming out to support. It's just what you want to see after all the reports and all the saying of Chris Eubank Sr. calling his son a disgrace in boxing, how he'll never back him, he'll never be in his corner, and then the satisfying moment of them walking out together. You seeing how big of a moment it is. And as the fight went on, you could see Chris Eubank Jr. was really starting to find his flow, was using his slips incredibly to get past a lot of the strikes from Conor Benn, and it seemed that at some point he was starting to take control, using his jab amazing throughout the entire fight, trying to keep Conor Benn at bay, especially when he started slowing down after using a lot of his energy in the earlier rounds. And it really seemed he was starting to take control until it seemed like a flip just completely switched, and later into the fight he was just going at it in the clinch, in the pocket, was throwing head first and was fighting completely like a dog in there. Both guys just showed their grit, their heart, putting it all on the line, not scared to get hit with a massive shot, and it was just an incredible fight. Amazing scenes in there and definitely lived up to all the hype, and of course their fathers' fights as well, all cultivating to this moment in which you just saw how badly they both wanted it, and that carried on into the final rounds. Both guys throwing with little concern over their own health, and it was just honestly crazy to see in general.
Yeah, it seemed like at one point Eubank was really starting to find his rhythm, find his timing, find his best moments, his success. And like you said, he was just completely dogging it out, kind of fighting with emotion and ego rather than just staying to his tactics, which I felt like he could have just cruised to a more smooth decision win, but instead, towards those later rounds, he was slugging it out with Conor Benn, who was an absolute dog, and he showed that again even in this fight. But again, the Eubanks reign supreme. Eubank Jr. gets the unanimous decision win. Pretty wide scorecards, 116-112. That's 8-4 in favor of Chris Eubank Jr. I did think he did edge it. I felt like it was maybe 7-5, but either way, I felt like the right guy did win. Conor Benn definitely had his moments. He was super fast. His jab was sharp, especially early on. That right hand was nuclear, and he was landing bombs. Both guys showed a great chin. Both guys showed great heart, and the Eubanks are now 2-0-1 against the Benns, with Chris Eubank Sr. stopping Nigel Benn all those years ago in their first fight. Now Chris Eubank Jr. getting the nod against Conor Benn in their first fight, as it seems like a rematch clause is in the contract. They may be rematching. I probably think it will happen maybe towards the end of this year, like October time. That's when it's kind of been eyed, and this was an incredible build-up and an absolutely insane war of a fight. So I don't see why they wouldn't run this back, especially because of how it went. It went the distance. It was very close. Some people even thought Conor Benn could have edged it. Personally, I didn't see it that way, but regardless, what a fight, what a moment. British boxing on fire, and Chris Eubank Jr. definitely put on a statement. He fought his fight. He even fought Conor Benn's fight a little bit, just slugging it out, and there was so much pressure on Eubank Jr. His whole career pretty much on the line. He's 35 years old. He had to beat the smaller guy in Conor Benn, even though there was a rehydration clause, and it looked like that weight cut was a very big issue going into this fight, with him missing weight by 0.05 pounds, a very small weight miss. But regardless, he made the rehydration limit today, and he got in the ring with a dog, and both of them just dogged it out.
Yeah, you gotta think that rematch is definitely next for the two. It's gonna be a massive fight, 100%, especially with this first fight being so incredible and as well living up to the hype. A second fight would definitely be great, give Conor Benn the opportunity to make adjustments, be able to come back. But overall, this was a career-defining fight for Chris Eubank Jr., getting the victory through all the noise in the lead up of this fight, being able to show different styles and show his heart while still coming out on top, and as well doing it with his father by his side. So this without a doubt is going to be the biggest win of his career.
Yeah, we saw at the end of this fight the emotion outpour from Conor Benn, obviously taking his first loss. At this point, he was undefeated going into this fight. Chris Eubank Jr. had taken some losses here and there to former world champions like George Groves, Billy Joe Saunders, Liam Smith. But for Conor Benn, you could tell how much he wanted this, how much this meant to him. It's definitely a brutal ending to what he felt was going to happen going into this fight. We saw that confidence. He was sure that he was going to get this one done, but regardless, he showed the heart of a lion, which even Eubank Jr. said he didn't expect to see that out of him. He kind of underestimated him a little bit, thought he would break him down early. And for Eubank Jr., I mean, what a moment. His dad backing him finally after all the build-up, seeming like his dad just was not going to approve of this fight, was never going to be in his corner, was never going to back him, didn't care about this fight, thought it was dangerous, whatever. And his dad is right there to live through the moment of Eubank getting his hand raised, beating the Benns once and for all, at least for now. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you guys make of the Eubank versus Benn fight? And if you guys enjoyed and want to see more boxing, check out what really happened to Tyson Fury on screen now.